All the money in the world doesn't build strength of character when you take those who have cared for you and believed in you and drag their name in the mud just so you can get a refund. Life gives you the best lessons. Here's one to learn from.
Hey everyone, Eric here. Thanks for tuning in. Are multi-level marketing companies pyramid schemes? I'm sure by now you've probably heard of MLMs through family, friends, or maybe acquaintances that you haven't talked to since high school saying that they have a business opportunity for you. They'll boast that this business opportunity will allow you to leave your 9-to-5 job, work from home, and make your own hours. Furthermore, they'll probably tell you that you, yes you, are perfect for their business. When you ask that person what the opportunity actually entails, they'll probably tell you a little bit about it and then prompt you to actually join them for an in-person meeting. However, the virus has forced companies and their employees to stay at home, or in this case, business owners, so you'll probably have to do something more along the lines of a virtual presentation. If you do end up attending this webinar or presentation, it's probably going to be led by the most successful person in the room, or somebody that's making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars.
$100 billion.
You're probably baffled at how this one person makes way more than everybody else and are a little bit concerned that they haven't told you why they make more than everyone else. For guys, you'll probably be told that you'll have access to that executive's mentorship and almost guaranteed to be shown his fancy suits, his fancy cars, as well as his luxurious lifestyle. For girls, you'll be asked to join the Boss Babe community and then be also prompted to share a variety of different social posts that look very similar to one another and use similar verbiage. So you leave this presentation energized and ready to join, but you haven't really learned anything new, and furthermore, you have heard a lot of bad things about MLMs in the past. Seeing that unemployment rates are very high at the moment, MLMs and their recruiters will probably be using that to their advantage to recruit people that have lost their jobs recently. Because of this, I felt like now would be a really good time to cover this controversial topic. Now I'm going to do my best to remain unbiased in this video and just look at the facts. This video is in no way meant to put down anybody for their career choices, and if you're already part of an MLM, then more power to you. Today I'm going to be covering the difference between a pyramid scheme versus an MLM, my experience working for an MLM, and some of the pros and cons that you can expect from working in that business model. And as always, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and join the Millipreneur community if you haven't already. Smash the like button if I provided you any value. Turn on notifications so you're alerted when I post a new video. And feel free to leave a comment below about your experience with an MLM or any recruiters that have approached you. And I don't mind if it's a good experience or a bad experience, I just want to create a community where we can talk about these types of things and not ridicule each other. So how is an MLM different than a pyramid scheme, and what can you do to spot the difference? Multi-level marketing companies may also be referred to as MLMs, referral marketing, pyramid selling, or network marketing. Every MLM has different marketing and recruiting tactics. Some may require you to actually be licensed in order to sell the products, while others may just require you to purchase their starter packs. However, at least in my experience, there was a much heavier emphasis on recruitment versus actually selling the products themselves. The idea is that recruiting is much more profitable due to the fact that new recruits are required to buy the product anyway. Not only will existing members of MLMs get paid for selling product to their recruits, they're also going to be paid for anything that that new recruit sells as well. These new recruits are known as your downline, and the more people that you bring onto your team, the higher your commissions will be on the products that you sell individually as well. Now, if you've ever been part of an MLM, you've probably realized by this point that in order to make decent money, you have to recruit people onto your team. This is pretty worrying considering that according to Investopedia, you are able to spot pyramids by their greater focus on recruiting versus selling. Now that we understand what MLMs are, now let's move on to pyramid schemes. First and foremost, MLMs are considered legal and legitimate businesses, while pyramid schemes are not. So what laws do MLMs have to break in order to be considered pyramid schemes? It is very difficult for prosecutors to prove that an MLM is a pyramid scheme for a variety of different reasons. One of these reasons is that these massive MLMs have tremendous power and influence across the globe, and they also are backed by investors and lobbyists. Investors throw a lot of money at these companies because they are incredibly profitable. MLMs make billions of dollars annually, so they're not going away anytime soon. I highly recommend checking out the documentary Betting on Zero, which elaborates on this point. My favorite part of this documentary is when billionaire hedge fund managers Bill Ackman and Carly Kahn end up getting into an argument on live television.
When I got there once, and not when you asked me. Okay. I'm never going on a show with you again. That's for damn sure, okay? Ackman is a liar, okay?
However, this isn't a happy documentary at all. It elaborates more on how poor and working class people are targeted by MLMs and endure financial hardships as a result. A lot of these people end up buying a ton of products that they're never going to sell, and they end up losing all of their money in the process. In all honesty, it was kind of depressing to see the state of some of my fellow Latinos after their MLM venture. Without getting into all the legal jargon of some of the past cases that were brought against companies such as Amway, LuLaRoe, or Herbalife, the FTC has recommended the following guidelines to assess for yourself whether a company is a pyramid scheme or not. If any of the following factors are true, then it's likely that the company that's reaching out to you is probably a pyramid scheme, or at the very least, they're an MLM that has not yet been discovered to be a pyramid scheme. Promoters make extravagant promises about your earning potential. I've found that this is pretty common amongst recruiters. In order to promote my own content, sometimes I'll use networking apps such as Bumble Biz. Yes, Bumble has a networking section. I wouldn't use it for dating. Did you know you can run out of swipes? One out of every few people that I connect with on these networking apps will end up being part of an MLM, and they'll use similar tactics to recruit you. For example, one thing that they'll tell you is that you can make way more money starting your own business versus working for somebody else. While theoretically this isn't a false claim, considering that 99.6% of people that work for pyramid schemes or recruitment-driven MLMs lose money, it is likely that you'd make more money working as a janitor to clean the buildings that hold giant MLM conferences. It is also likely that you'd make more money gambling at a casino like Caesar's Palace. And it's definitely more likely that you'd smash the like button for me. That's 100% guaranteed. This actually ties into the next thing that pyramid schemes do that the FTC recommends you steer clear of. Promoters emphasize recruiting new distributors for your sales network as the real way to make money. Now listen, this point kind of throws me off because for the MLM that I was working for, recruitment was a huge component of our business model. I've also read up on other MLMs and it seems as though they have very similar recruitment models as well. You may hear a recruiter rebut this point by saying that
everybody recruits, companies recruit, the military recruits, and even sports recruit.
The difference between how a pyramid scheme recruits and how a corporation recruits is that a corporation guarantees the employee a salary, while pyramid schemes simply cannot do that. Also, it is worth noting that the FTC requires MLM distributors to make at least 80% of their income selling products on their own. That means that their downline can only be making them 20% max of their annual income. Now, I can't speak for other MLMs, but I can guarantee you that the highest earners within my MLM were not selling anywhere near 80% of their income. There were even people within the company that wouldn't sell anything at all. They would just make millions of dollars by training all of the agents in their downline. Like I had said previously, there's only so much one person can sell. Now, my full-time position is in sales, so this next point hits pretty close to home. Promoters play on your emotions or use high-pressure sales tactics, maybe saying you'll lose the opportunity if you don't act now and discouraging you from taking time to study the company. Now, for one, this is a crappy and immoral sales tactic in my opinion. You may hear a recruiter say that they aren't salespeople, and if they are selling anything, it's a dream. Pyramid schemes use these tactics in order to distract you from the reality that in almost every single case you are going to lose money. In order for you to make a quick and rash decision, they'll probably say something like,
I only have this many spots left on my team, or maybe this business opportunity isn't for you.
I've even heard some people say that network marketing is different than multi-level marketing. That must have been how they were convinced to join because, come on guys, it's the same thing. You can't be that naive. The last thing that the FTC recommends you avoid is the following. Distributors buy more products than they want to use or can resell just to stay active in the company or to qualify for bonuses or other rewards. Now, I don't really have much to add on to this point because the products that I was selling were financial products and they weren't tangible like a protein shake. However, we were pretty much required to buy the financial products that we were selling, and the idea was that how can you sell something that you don't own? It does make sense though to avoid companies that are essentially forcing you to buy products just to stay active. Alright, so now that you know the difference between a pyramid scheme and an MLM, I wanted to actually elaborate on my experience working for an MLM and some of the pros and cons when getting in that type of business. I initially joined a financial MLM not because I wanted to be a recruiter, nor did I want to make a ton of money, although that wouldn't have been a bad thing. What I really did want was the direct mentorship of somebody who had been in the financial world for quite some time. Luckily, I was introduced to that person and he became my mentor. I felt like he really did care about my well-being and he taught me everything that I wanted to know. I also demanded a lot of his time and he would answer any questions that I had. Also, nearly everybody in the office that I was working out of was very kind to me. Because I was one of the youngest in the office, they would tell me things like, man, I wish I started as early as you, or
You're gonna be a stud.
I felt like it was genuine the way that I was being treated, but also couldn't help but feel like I was being hyped up because I could bring in a lot of young talent or could potentially become big in the industry. In my mind, this thought was confirmed after I was offered $100,000 to work for that MLM. The deal was this: even if I only managed to sell $60,000 of financial products to consumers, the mentors would then pitch in and make up the additional $40,000 to equate to $100K per year. However, if I did manage to make over $100,000 in sales, then for every dollar that I made over that amount, the mentors would then pocket. This displayed a level of confidence that the mentors had in me that I'm not sure was shown to other people. Imagine that, a college student being guaranteed $100,000 right out of school to work for an MLM. Although I was all for the motivational speeches that the mentors would give, I was very surprised that they never actually covered the products that we were selling. Thus, the focus was clearly not on understanding the products. The only reason that I had a good understanding of the products that we were selling is because I genuinely enjoyed learning about them, and I would harass my mentor almost on a daily basis to teach me about them. I felt like I truly needed to understand the product before I could sell them to people within my immediate vicinity. The reality was that the mentors wanted a group of motivated individuals that could sell the products but didn't necessarily need to understand them. They always said that people don't buy your products, they buy you, which is kind of true. Because of this, product workshops were seldom covered in our sessions. I was also not a fan of the recruitment model. The highest earners in the office would hold incentive events, which basically prompted people to sell and recruit more people. For example, there were retreats that required a certain amount of recruits as well as a certain amount of sales in order to attend. I qualified for all of these events and got one-on-one time with most of the mentors. Some of them actually gave me pretty good advice, while others were more focused on showing me a good time. I was literally told by one of the mentors that if I couldn't score with a girl on that night that we were out in Reno, then I would never become an executive. While I will neither confirm nor deny the outcome of that night, what I will say is that the mentors really did want to keep me happy and took great lengths in order to do so. The final nail in the coffin was the product itself. Because I was selling relatively complex financial products, sometimes it was difficult to discern the difference between our products versus our competitors. It took me a while to realize this, but after extensive research, I realized that our products were simply inferior to those of our competitors and were one of the most expensive on the market. Like I said previously, I cannot speak for other MLMs, but I have heard similar stories of their products being much more expensive than other brands. For example, I can easily go to Costco and buy my vegan Orgain protein powder for $23 or choose to buy Herbalife's for $50. I'm sure that Herbalife's protein shakes taste great, but the reality is that you can find cheaper options on the market. So those are the main reasons why I decided to walk away from my MLM. I also tried to cancel my policy to get my money back. Although I made roughly $5,000, I also spent nearly that amount on plane tickets, food, hotels, and just other business expenses. But again, I wasn't really doing it for the money, I was doing it more for the mentorship of somebody in finance. When it was found out that I was leaving, my mentor was pretty upset, but he respected my decision. However, the executive of the office had some not so nice things to say to me.
Eric, after being in the business of people for 25 years, I have learned a few things. At the end, we only have our name and the honor that comes from building it. Strength of character is the number one trait to look for when building people. When you came in, I believed in you, that you had what it took to really win. In the last 24 hours, all that has changed because of your actions. Funny thing is, I still think that you're going to win wherever you go.
Thank you.
But for all the wrong reasons.
How's that for a backhanded compliment?
You see, Eric, you can make all the money in the world and it doesn't build your name with honor when you lie, you cheat, and steal. All the money in the world doesn't build strength of character when you take those who have cared for you and believed in you and drag their name in the mud just so you can get a refund. Life gives you the best lessons. Here's one to learn from.
Pretty dramatic, isn't it? I found it relatively amusing that he claimed that I was lying, cheating, and stealing because that's precisely the reason why I felt like I was leaving the MLM in the first place. I felt like I was lying to consumers because there were clearly better products out there. Plus, the mentors never really told us that there was alternative products anyway. I also felt like I was cheating my clients out of their hard-earned money and stealing from them in the form of commissions. My mentor always said that he worked for free, but the reality is that his livelihood did depend on the sale of product. And it was abundantly clear that the executive of the office was upset that one of the components of his retirement, me, was walking out the door. So here I am truly giving you all of this information for free so that you can learn from my mistakes. Now that was my experience with this MLM condensed in a short video, but there was a lot more to this tale that I'm not going to cover. The last thing that I wanted to quickly recap with you are the pros and cons of working for an MLM, at least in my experience. First and foremost, I was lucky to have a mentor that genuinely cared about me and taught me everything that I wanted to know or answered any questions that I had. I really feel like I wouldn't be here without his guidance, so I'm definitely not taking that for granted. Second, I learned a great deal about leadership and also strengthened my presentation skills. Third, I made good connections with some of the agents and really did enjoy some of the outings that we had in Reno and Vegas. Last but not least, I learned that having your own book of business and being an entrepreneur is not easy. You'll have to take a lot of risks in order to do so, and you may have to work around the clock in order to become successful. For example, there would be days where I would work from 7 in the morning to 5 p.m. at my full time, and then work from 7 p.m. all the way till 1 o'clock in the morning on training sessions, presentations, etc. I also conducted at least 150 presentations and had little time for personal life. My mom literally told me that it was the worst that I looked in my entire life. She wasn't wrong though, my eyes were always very puffy and dark, I gained weight, and I was always tired. I know this was supposed to be a pro, but I abused my body for quite some time. And now we move on to the cons. Where do I begin? I'm not even going to try and describe what they would do during meetings, but it essentially looked something like this.
Oh, whoosh, boom, something or other.
It was kind of like their battle cry, but it was a little bit concerning. Second, they asked me to recruit my friends and family right off the bat before I truly understood what I was getting myself into. I didn't even understand the products yet, but they told me that the model was to recruit people before you even think about selling. They told me to get people to join my crusade, even though I didn't necessarily know what that even meant. Third, understanding the products always took a backseat to recruiting and selling the product. There was literally a training where where one of the mentors said, listen, if you're going to miss any of the sessions, make it the product one. He was essentially screaming,
I'm going to train you guys all how to sell the products, but I'm not going to tell you what they are.
This obviously raised a red flag for me. Fourth, the products were overpriced and inferior. It would take me an entire video to explain how I figured this out, but essentially, if the agents didn't truly understand what they were selling, then how could we expect the consumers to know what they were buying? Fifth, politics. They were present in the office. I am sick of politics, so I'm not even going to elaborate on this point, but just trust me, they were there. And lastly, if you do decide to leave your MLM, you will probably get blocked by all the people that are still there and called a quitter. Mr. Executive threw dirt on my name, and I never got the chance to share my side of the story, until now. I hope all this information that I just shared with you will help you make an educated decision on whether you should join an MLM or not. Not all MLMs are the same, so my experience may be very different than yours. However, I did learn a lot from working there, and I honestly wouldn't change anything. My time working for an MLM has contributed to my development and has helped me acquire some skills. So the question is, would you be open to this business opportunity? Feel free to comment below. Also, you are more than welcome to share your experiences. Just make sure to be cordial. We have enough hate in this world. And that's it. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already to join the Millipreneur community. Make sure to hit that like button when you get the chance, and feel free to turn on notifications so you're alerted every time that I post a new video. Check out my blog at millipreneur.blog, and feel free to follow me on Instagram at Eric_Anthony_Lopez. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.